Hey, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Just Two Dads. I almost said we are brave together. Here we are, another episode of Just Two Dads with my co-host, Mr. Sean Francis. I am Brian Altunian, and today's guest is a friend of the program and somebody who is part of our community that we love, we support, we honor. And today we're going to be talking about where we are brave together, how it got started, where it is, where it's going, and the event that's coming up in now 30 days, actually in a month from now. So stay tuned for an awesome episode of We Are Just, I was again, We Are Brave Dads. That's what we are. We are Brave Two Dads. That's what we're going to start. We're going to change all right, here we go. Just Two Dads. I had a lot of coffee this morning. Can you tell? I don't know sure if that's evident or not. Hey, everybody. I am Brian Altunian, and with Mr. Sean Francis. Welcome to another episode of Just Two Dads. I'm really going to get. I don't know what's happening today. First of all, if you're catching us live on Facebook, welcome. Thank you. Please feel free to put comments and we'll put them up on the screen. If you're catching us after the fact on our YouTube channel at We Are Just Two Dads, all right. Then again, leave a comment, subscribe, like. And if you're hearing us on podcast outlets everywhere, thank you for making us part of your listening today. And that goes the same for our folks down in the U.S. Virgin Islands on WSTX AM radio. Thank you again for having us be a part of your day. Sean and I started this program almost exactly 3 years ago. We're episode 143, Sean, but then I saw the calculation. It looked like it was episode 146. So we're in the 100, almost 150 episode range of
right around there.
Something that we did 3 years ago as a way to just create an opportunity to shine the light on people who are doing amazing things for the special needs community and give them an opportunity to expand their reach and use our platform to reach a lot of folks. And today's guest is no exception. Like I said, a friend of the program, somebody we love and honor and support, and excited to have her back. This is, I think, the second time we've been on your podcast, and you were on our podcast before, and excited to get an update on what's happening, and especially this event that's coming up. So, with the dog in the background, and without further, I'm going to throw it over to Sean to get us started. And Sean Francis, how you doing, bud?
Hectic but blessed, as you can hear with the dog in the background and that last minute construction taking place today and everything. But I don't want to delay any further the reintroduction and welcoming of our guest again like the second time, as you mentioned, Jessica Patay, founder of We Are Brave Together. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Sean. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be with you both always.
It's great to have you here. I was just telling Jessica before we got started that I have such a tremendous amount of respect for someone that's taken a vision and made it real. You know, when it comes to a purpose-driven business, whether it's for profit or in Jessica's case, a nonprofit, you straddle the fence, trying to work the dance between being, purposeful, because whether you're looking at actual profit or not, you're still talking about it takes money to do that. It takes time and everything. And I think that it is just so impressive. We Are Brave Together was created to provide support for primarily mothers who are caregivers or moms to those with special needs. And they are all across the United States, as well as in multiple countries, and they have a great event coming up, and we're here to promote that, and then also talk about a little bit about the inception of the group and what's taken place since the last time you visited us. And so why don't we just start there? Just as good a place as any.
Thank you. Sure. Well, I think last time we spent a lot of time talking about Ryan, my son with a rare genetic disorder. So I thought maybe I would start there with a little update. He's
Great.
now 20 and over 6 feet tall, which I can't believe. Yeah, he is. He's in the transition program of our school district. So I'm sure our audience is very familiar. When you don't get a high school diploma, you can stay in your school district until you're age 22. And so he is in his second year. Today was the first day of school, and he was very happy to go back, and I was very happy to send him off. Structure and schedule is so good for him and for me. And he has 2 years, so this year and next year, and then he will age out of the school district, which feels very daunting. So I have to tell myself to stay in the now. Not that I don't prep, not that I don't talk to parents who are ahead of me or in the next phase or try to do some research, but I just have to relish that he's in the bubble of the school district this year and next year and hope that he loves going every day as he has. I'm very grateful that he likes to go and it's not a fight in the morning whatsoever.
Yeah. And just as a reminder for folks, do you want to talk about the genetic disorder? Just again, if anybody's catching us for the first time.
Absolutely. Sure. So when Ryan was born, he couldn't suck and he couldn't cry and he could hardly move. And he was diagnosed at 5 weeks of age with something called Prader-Willi syndrome. It's a rare genetic disorder. It affects many different things. And we were lucky to get an early diagnosis. The early years are very much focused on milestones because when you're born with low muscle tone, everything is delayed. So Ryan had OTPT and speech pretty much from the beginning, and he was put on growth hormone, which is specifically indicated for kids with Prader-Willi syndrome. He started daily shots at 10 weeks of age. And even with all the interventions on growth hormone, he did not walk till he was 3. So he was very, very low tone. He had a feeding tube his first year. And, eventually he caught up on all his milestones. And if the syndrome makes the news or makes it interesting and a little bit crazy, is there is a food drive that kicks in childhood because the brain and the body do not tell kids and adults with the syndrome that they've had any food. So they don't feel full. They don't feel satisfied or satiated. So that coupled with underlying anxiety and obsessiveness leads to food seeking behavior that is life threatening. And so we live with a locked kitchen. I'm extremely vigilant. I will check the kitchen in the middle of the night to make sure everything is locked because I am not the last one to go to bed. So I'm always checking. Our latest thing is that Ryan will look in the trash can for food. So
interesting.
We haven't locked it. We probably need to lock it because that will make him feel safer, which sounds counterintuitive. The locks actually settle his anxiety because now he has no hope to actually get any food. When he sees the locks, it helps decrease his anxiety. It doesn't make him angry and want to break the locks. It actually settles his anxiety. So living with an insatiable food drive and a food obsession, how it affects our everyday life is we don't go to restaurants with him. Usually we don't take family vacations altogether because he becomes food insecure on vacation. Now I can take him one-on-one. My husband can take him one-on-one, and it's a very different feel and flavor and experience. But as a family, most of the time, maybe once a year, we'll go out to a restaurant together, but otherwise we'll do takeout in or, cook in. Ryan's on a food schedule that also makes him feel secure, like he's going to get what he needs. And I would say even more than the food seeking behavior, the anxiety and behaviors are very much a part of our daily life. And so that presents a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah, I bet. It's amazing. And has, as you all have grown with this for 20 years now, has it, I mean, you're in a cycle. I'm assuming, has it gotten easier to manage, or just is it still as difficult as in the very beginning?
Well, I've said lately, surprisingly, we're in an easy phase with Ryan. I mean, everything's kind of smooth. He hasn't been aggressive. He hasn't been horribly acting out. He hasn't been acting out at school. We had a good summer. But the food seeking is still ever present. And you know, he can stick his skinny little low tone hands through the top of our pantry and reach for things. So our top shelf has everything pushed back. There's nothing that he can access. It's crazy. And he will go now underneath from the bottom of the pantry, cabinet doors, and also reach his skinny little hands in. So we had to alter the bottom 2 shelves of the, I mean, it's just crazy, right?
Yeah.
So we're always having to adjust. The food drive is never going to get better or easier or go away. He will never, ever be able to self-regulate. It is genetically
It just
driven.
is. Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
How do you give me detail? Because I'm hearing so many. This is funny. This is your second time talking about the diagnosis, having been on the show, yet I'm receiving it differently. And I don't know why. Maybe my head's thick, but I'm just seeing the more similarities between that from a behavioral standpoint and autism than I ever did before when you first told us. How do you manage the restaurant? How do you pull that off?
Well, I mean, let's get specific about the restaurant experience. If we say, Ryan, we're going to go out to dinner tonight, automatically his anxiety goes up because what is he going to get? How much food is it? He knows and we know that restaurants give you double what you should be taking in. And in PWS, you have low metabolism. And so I don't have to count calories with Ryan, but I'm very careful. So immediately he's worried that someone's going to try to negotiate less food, take part of his French fries, let's say, if we go to Ruby's. He's automatically worried that it's not going to happen. And so he's just anxious and asking questions and very nervous that he's not going to get what he wants. So immediately the atmosphere in the home changes.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
Wow.
if I were to say, hey, Rye, let's go run some errands and we're going to grab some lunch while we run errands. He'll ask me a lot of questions in the car, but it's very different when it's just me handling it. When it's the whole family listening and feeling the anxiety, then everyone collectively, maybe not my husband, but definitely Luke and Kate and me, are doing the what ifs in our head. How is this going to go? Is he going to lose it in the restaurant?
So it seems like he has the capacity, and this is what I didn't get before, if I'm hearing correctly, he has the capacity, that's a word.
Making it up.
On some planet, I think, I don't know what it is in my head today. I lack the capacity to say capacity at this moment.
Yeah.
But he has the capacity to become overwhelmed or overstimulated by simply actually trying to do and prepare for the right thing. That's number one. Number two, it sounds like the manner in which you handle it is, again, by managing expectations, which is much what we go through with Elijah, which is here's where we're going to go. This is what we're going to do. And I'd like to say that is all it takes, and it always works. But that would be a lie because sometimes it doesn't. I'll be like, we're going to go to this place. We're not going to ask to use their restroom, which is not open to the public. You understand? Yeah, okay. We go there, and I'm trying to explain to the people in Kinko's or some mailbox place or whatever have you why he's trying to get into their restroom. And yeah, so that's actually very comforting. To know that, especially for people that I'm sure might be listening and not familiar with the syndrome.
And go ahead, Jess.
Oh, I was going to say, I know in autism and in other syndromes, kids are food seeking, and there are other people who have to lock their kitchens because their kids are so food seeking. I know I'm not alone in it. I don't know that it's necessarily life-threatening, though, in other disorders or diseases or diagnoses. But kids with the syndrome will literally eat themselves to a medical emergency where their stomach ruptures. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, it's definitely life-threatening.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, I know that you guys recently did a family vacation, and I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, because your decisions, because you just mentioned this in the car, the decisions as a family to do certain activities. You want to talk about that?
That was my next question. I was going to ask that, knowing that she did that. I was so impressed with that. Yeah, go ahead.
So years ago, when it became apparent that it was just too hard to take a family vacation, we had to accept that is the truth. It's not a happy experience for everyone. We spend the whole time managing Ryan's behavior, managing the food schedule, and it's not pleasant. It's just an anxiety-filled vacation. So we decided we're not doing this anymore. And it also was to validate Luke and Kate's experience and feelings and needs.
Sure.
It's so stressful for them. It's so stressful for them. I'll never forget, I'll tell this story. We were in Santa Barbara visiting colleges for Luke. He was maybe a junior in high school, and Luke was already in Santa Barbara with Chris. Kate, Ryan, and I joined them. We're in a hotel. Chris is on the balcony on a work phone call. Ryan is extremely anxious about dinner, where we're going, when we're going, what he's going to have, even though we laid it out.
Mhm.
He's just losing it and then starting to get aggressive. And then Kate and Luke and I are trying to hold him down, and Chris is on a work phone call. I mean, it was so incredibly stressful and so awful for Luke and
Yeah.
Kate, right? This is our family time. And then we were supposed to go and visit dear friends north of Santa Barbara for a couple of days. And when Chris got off his phone call, we went to the hallway of the hotel, and I said, we got to go home. This is too stressful. It's too much for Luke and Kate. We have to do this for Luke and Kate. Yes, it's disappointing. It's a bummer, but I really think we need to go home. So we did the next morning. And that trip. I remember it was after that. We didn't do any more family vacations like that. So since then, we've done one-on-one trips with each kid. We've done trips, the four of us without Ryan. And this year was the longest trip that we've done. We had the privilege, and I realize it is such a privilege. We went to Maui in July, and we had 6 days, which was a very long time to be away and to hire many sitters to make it happen. I have amazing, amazing sitters right now. And we just said, why would we wait 5 or 10 years to do a trip like this? We have people we love and trust right now, so let's do it. So we did. When I told Ryan 2 days ahead of time, because you have to wait, he cried, and it broke my heart. And it was very hard to tell him. I kept my cool. I kept my composure. But I said, I think you're happier with one-on-one trips. And I think it's safer because we can't lock a kitchen a lot of times in a vacation situation. And I knew that where we were staying, the kitchen or the refrigerator was not lockable. I couldn't, travel with my lock. So I had to endure his heartache. I validated his heartache, and I said, you will get a one-on-one trip with me. You will get a one-on-one trip with Dad, and we will have a great time together. It's just a different experience. So he after about 10 minutes, he stopped crying and he accepted it. And I really didn't hear a lot more. I won't tell you the heartbreaking things that he said during those 10 minutes. I did do a post on it. But I know that we need these times as a family without Prader-Willi syndrome, without anxiety, without managing behavior.
I saw your sorry, Brian. I was gonna say I saw your post when you did that, and I remember being flooded with so many things, and I meant to reach out to you. I think I commented, but I didn't call or text you. But I think part of the reason why I didn't was, in addition to life being as busy as it is, I literally, and whether you're catching us live or after the fact on YouTube, the visual portion of it, I'm sitting back here dramatizing. I kind of and I thought, because like, how much of that do we adapt? Is it necessary for us to do something like that? Because I don't know that it is. All I know is that we've done little short road trips. It's been a while, but we haven't gotten on a plane. And it is one of those things where it could go just like roll of the dice, and it's a very easy thing. But it's a very difficult thing to do. And there's so many pieces there, because let's unpack that. You're talking about, first of all, trusting your child who requires a bunch of accommodations with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then having the fortitude to try and be present in the vacation so that you're able to decompress, recharge, and come back better for him than you were before you left. And that's a difficult thing to do if you're on the trip thinking of, what, he should be here. Because I already know the answer to the next question is yes, which is that while you were on that trip, you were present and everything. But there's part of you that's there, sitting there going, it would be so great if he were here and able to enjoy it, not here as we would expect with all the challenges. And that's not who he is. And that's a now I'm rambling, but just I appreciate
those
that so
are
very
those are
deeply.
great points. Those are great points. And doing a trip like this, we built up to it. We have 2 respite caregivers in our life, one for the last 10 years, one for the last 6 years, maybe 7 years by now. Both who we love and trust. This was step-by-step process. We've always had respite caregivers in our life because we don't have family that comes and takes over and helps. And so we learned to trust a long time ago and to let go a long time ago. And on that trip, I was able to be fully present and enjoy the trip and not mourn that he wasn't there. I could just be in the moment and really know that he was in safe hands. He was in good hands. Nothing happened. When we came home, reentry was beautiful. It was fine. There were no repercussions and nothing major happened while we were gone. And
Beautiful.
so that gives me the confidence to do it again. And Ryan did get his one-on-one trips with Chris and I each in this month. And it went great.
That's beautiful.
So good, Brian.
I was gonna transition to We Are Brave.
Can I ask
another question? Yeah. Sure.
Yes, I did. Just before we did that, we all know as caregivers and parents to those with disabilities that there's a ton of resources out there. So there's places to find respite care. But you just said something that I've never heard before, even though I'm sure it exists. Respite caregivers that have been working with your family for half a decade in one case and then a decade in the other. How did you find them and how did you develop that trust? Because that's something that is, that's a trip to the moon for me. But one that I'd like to be able to take.
Well, I'm really glad you're asking this because I think it's really important for parents to hear. One, knowing that we didn't have family that would be able to come or were willing to come and take over, I wasn't willing to sacrifice my mental health or my marriage because there was no family to come and help. In my mind, family is not the only answer. So I was very stubborn even, right? Just I'm not going to not take care of myself and my marriage and my friendships that are life-giving because I don't have family to come and help. And not that we've had family help, but it's not like regularly scheduled help every week or for us to get away for 4 days or what have you. When the kids were little, our in-laws were phenomenal and it was very different. Ryan was very easy when he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It changes after that once behaviors entered in. So that's the first thing is I really, really care about my mental health and my marriage and my relationships and taking breaks. And taking breaks was just always a part of my DNA, even from having Luke, my first child, who was typical. I just always did. I would go for a run. I would go get coffee with a friend. Chris and I would have dates. And so I was not the mom who was like, I'm never leaving my child. I just wasn't like that. And even with Ryan, I wasn't like the mom who's I'm never leaving my child, especially this child who's fragile right now, because I knew I needed to take breaks and to step away. So because of that, that propelled me to trust. Now, how did we find people? Through the years, it's been word of mouth. So other moms, and it's been through our school district or local school districts. There are behaviorists or aides who are always looking to make money. Sometimes they will become caregivers with the agency that is covered by the regional center. So sometimes it's covered. And I would say half the time, our respite care, we pay out of pocket. And I realize that that is a privilege and a luxury. And I want to just own that and honor that. The truth is, in the disability world, most families are paying for therapies and medications and medical supplies and all of it and copays and don't have an extra dollar. We are in an epidemic problem that there aren't enough resources and quality respite agencies and quality respite caregivers to come into families' homes so that they can get a break and so that their mental health is preserved and protected. So I just want to make sure I say that. So honestly, there have been times that we just had to roll the dice with the respite agency that is vendored with the regional center. And one of our sitters came through the agency. She's still with us the last 6-7 years. She's wonderful. We have another gal who comes once a week, and I think she's been with us a few years, again, through the agency. And then we've had lots of people come and go that weren't a right fit.
Yep.
And it's nerve-wracking. I'm not going to say it's not nerve-wracking because Ryan is a lot. He has a lot to handle. So I'm always like, oh, please be on your best behavior. Please let this be a right fit. I mean, there's a lot of anxiety training somebody and starting somebody new, but it's so worth it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, it's because it's a perfect transition, because I think, and Sean and I talk about this all the time, when our children were diagnosed, the access to resource, which by the way, our children are all the same age as Ryan, within that range. Access to resources is difficult. And unless you know how to navigate, sometimes you feel like you're all alone. And that's why I think what you are doing with We Are Brave Together is such a vital piece. First of all, your comments today, for anybody to listen to this who's going through the experience, feel like, all of the things that you talked about, your mental safety, your mental health safety, your security, your focus on your relationship, the, respite care, making sure that your typical children, neurotypical children have, feel like they're part of something, that their needs are met as well. All of those things are great. And it only comes from having the experience, but your ability to then share that experience with others, I think, provides some comfort. And so it's a perfect transition to talk a little bit about We Are Brave Together, because this organization is something that you've dedicated your life to, in addition to your family. And, to talk about that and kind of how that came together, how long you guys have been doing, how big that is. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Thank you. Well, I say that connection and community saved me. My husband and I jumped into the Prader-Willi syndrome support groups when Ryan was 2 months old. We found our people. We found our community within the diagnosis. And then when Ryan entered the school district, we found our community within our school district. And so, we learned so much from each other, how to navigate regional center, IEPs, the school district, and then, having community within the specific diagnosis to talk about, behavioral interventions, or just laugh about the food seeking behavior and anxiety and the 10,000 questions per day or whatever, just to have each other, to be surrounded by people who get it. I say girlfriends who get you are sacred and mandatory. And that goes for couples and families. Like, you have to have other people in your life who understand what you're going through, whether your diagnosis of your children is the same or not. And so I thought, okay, what if I could create something where moms could just show up? They don't have to create community for themselves. I'll create the community and they can show up. And so prior to launching We Are Brave Together, I think what also contributed was I had been sharing, blogging since 2012, just honestly sharing my story. And I think it gave me a voice. It gave me a voice, and I received so much feedback. Thank you for saying how I feel. Thank you for saying what I'm afraid to say out loud. I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel understood. And then one of my best friends and I were doing these retreats with girlfriends and friends of friends. And so all of that sort of led to, what can we do for the community of special needs moms, or we say caregiving moms now. And so we decided, we came up with a name. I had a designer come up with a logo. We didn't even have a website. I think I had an Excel spreadsheet of 125 moms who were interested, because early 2017, I said, who's interested in a supportive community? Who would be interested? And so I just started gathering names, and We launched the summer of 2017. And again, we had a small group, and we've grown to we're getting close to 2,300 moms internationally. So
Wow.
if 50% of our membership is in California, and the rest represent the other 49 states and 23 other countries. So obviously the need is there for connection and community. And our focus is to offer support groups, which we call connection circles, virtual or in person, to offer low-cost retreats, and we have scholarships as well, so that moms can get a weekend off and a weekend of deep connection and sharing and laughter and camaraderie and swapping resources and ideas. And then along the way, we started the podcast. I think probably around the same time you guys started your podcast. We started Brave Together podcast May 2020. And again, just in an effort to put out inspirational, practical, and resourceful content to caregiving moms, and to give caregiving moms permission to take care of themselves.
Love that. It's such an important thing. And for people to remember, again, we talk about this all the time, but the reason why on an airplane, they tell you put your mask on first before is that you need to have the love and support. You need to make sure that you're taken care of in order for you to give 100% to those who have needs. So that's amazing. So you do a podcast, by the way. We've been on the podcast and
Yes.
love the content that you have there. And you started this 6 years ago in your, like, I don't want to say in your kitchen, but kind of in your, with a couple of friends. And now I just want to repeat that. You have 2,300 members of We Are Brave Together in all 50 states and in countries around the world. Right. That's so it's so amazing, and it's admirable. And I think that you've just begun to touch the surface, right? Like you've scratched the surface. You've just, right. There's so many people that you are serving, and at the same time, there's so many more to serve. So you do retreats and these communication and these community circles. How is that funded? How are these paid for?
I mean, everything is funded by, we have, several main fundraisers per year, and friends, family. We get grants every year from different organizations, and it's just growing. It's just growing. And right now we're in the middle of our 5K fundraiser, which means you can join us in person and do a 5K, which is 3.1 miles, walk, run, crawl, or you can do it wherever you live, anywhere in the world. You just route out an area or go to your high school track and walk around it several times, wear the t-shirt, take a picture, send it to us, and tell us that you participated. So, through our fundraisers, through just ongoing generous donors that have increased their donations through the years, and just, a hardworking board that is not afraid to fundraise, as you know, has all contributed to us being able to do what we do. And all our support group leaders or our connection circle leaders are volunteers. So I want to just say a huge thank you. We are so grateful. We're up to, I think, 25 connection circle leaders. We train them, we mentor them. They commit to volunteer for a year, but many of them have done it for more than a year. And it's remarkable that these are caregiving moms who are serving caregiving moms. And we couldn't do what we do without all those volunteers and all the whole team behind. I'm the face you might see often on Instagram, but we've got 40 people who are making all of this possible with, I have a part-time assistant, I have a website team, a social media, all our leaders, our board, volunteer. It's remarkable, all the people that have come together to make this possible.
Yeah, well, it's a phenomenal cause, and the impact that you have on moms for moms is so significant. I've read the letters of thanks, and it really is impressive. So I want to talk about the 5K just for a quick second, because just some people think about a 5K and they think it's a race, right? And you have to register and then you get a time and, blah, blah, blah. But that's not this. This is truly a fundraiser where people pay a small fee. It's only $45, right?
$45 to register. Mm-hmm.
And with that, you get a t-shirt that designates the event. so that's why the virtual thing works, right? So there are people who are going to be live in Southern California down in Rancho Palos Verdes, which, by the way, if anybody has not been there, it's such a beautiful place to be to begin with. So that's fantastic. But if they can't come to Southern California, they get to participate in the fundraising aspect of this because they pay their fee, they get their t-shirt, and then they walk wherever they are, whether it's in Detroit, Michigan, or Miami, Florida, or in another country somewhere else. Take a shot of them walking, basically help raise money for this organization. Is that right? Is that like
Yes.
Summarize it?
Yes, exactly. And you have the option to also do peer-to-peer fundraising if you want to, but there's no pressure to do that. If you simply want to come and join us on September 23rd in Rancho Palos Verdes, walk, run, crawl, drink coffee, bring your mimosa, I don't care. Just join us and be a part of the pack. Walking along the beautiful coast, we would love to have you. But if that's not possible because of either your schedule, a conflict, or where you live, you can do it anywhere at all. And there's an option to fundraise with us or not. And it's very meaningful, even if you just register. So I don't want to minimize just signing up to do it. All of those dollars go towards everything that we're doing for moms.
Yeah, it's beautiful. For those that are hearing us and you're not seeing on the screen, if you go to wearebravetogether.org, first of all, it's a beautiful website. You can get all the details on Jessica, on the organization, on the events, on the podcast. But if you want to register for the 5K, it's wearebravetogether.org/annual-5K-2023. So 2023, the year. I highly recommend if you can, go to the website, see the beautiful work that Jessica and the team are doing. And we've got a month left to have a big push. And Jessica, what are the goals like financially? What's the goal for this year's 5K event? Not race event.
Yes, right. Yeah, there are no timers at all. No one's checking. There's no race whatsoever. So our goal is to reach 40,000, and our hope is that we will have 7,500 participants locally and worldwide, and even beyond that would be wonderful. I mean, we still have a month. We're getting closer to 70 participants right now, and that makes me hopeful that we could possibly reach 100 in the next month. We would love to have you. And also, I don't know if I said this either, is that if you're a mom listening to this for the first time or hearing about We Are Brave Together for the first time, and you're a caregiving mom, please join our community. We're waiting for you. We're waiting to wrap you up with support and care and validation. And you just go to our website, wearebravetogether.org, and there's a little pop-up.
Beautiful. I love that. And again, I think that it is everything that you are about, which is, and this event is where you don't just have to be a caregiving mom to participate.
Correct.
This is a community at large opportunity to support a community of caregivers. And this is it's been community driven and community supported. But starts with the smaller community of moms, caregivers of family members with special needs issues, but this is really an opportunity for the community at large to support this community.
Yep. Absolutely. We welcome everybody. You can get a team at your work. You can, grab a family team. You can invite, a bunch of friends. Like, we welcome everybody to participate. Every dollar makes a difference in a young organization.
For sure. And people can sign up for sponsorships. I know that the t-shirts have been printed since we're only 30 days out. So while you won't be on a t-shirt, you'll definitely will be acknowledged. And there are different levels of sponsorships. And so people who want to make a larger contribution, and by the way, any contribution is accepted, right?
Yes, of course.
But at certain levels, there's other kinds of recognition for your organization. So, highly suggest folks go to the annual-5K-2023 section of the We Are Brave Together site and sign up and walk, run, whatever you want to do, stroll together or virtually where you are. But if you want to participate and support these amazing folks who are doing things for moms, sign up for a sponsorship, sponsor these people, and know that your money is going to be used wisely. Now, I want to just ask Sean, you're going to ask something, but I just want to say this. Just will you talk a little bit about the retreats and the circles, connection circles, just so people understand this money is going to support these events. And so what are those look like?
So for our connection circles, we offer virtual or in person, and there are some minor costs for those offerings. Our retreats, we charge $250, and 75 to 100% of the cost per person is subsidized by We Are Brave Together. And we offer 3, sometimes more, scholarships to moms for every single retreat. And we have grown in our ability to offer retreats. We started with 1 per year. This year we offered 9, including our leaders retreat and including our a half-day retreat locally. And so that's really our niche. We cherish and love those weekend retreats, and we are trying to make it accessible for moms to get that weekend off.
That's beautiful. Full disclosure, I have recently joined the board of We Are Brave Together. So I'm just going to say that. I probably should have said it at the top of the hour, but and so I've had the privilege of seeing an agenda for retreats. Some people, retreats mean so many different things to so many different people. And I've had the privilege of seeing what an agenda of a typical retreat looks like. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because It's not just it's not just like a spa treatment retreat, but it can include that, which is so amazing.
Sure. So what that $250 retreat fee covers is 2 nights housing at a house or a hotel. Sometimes we do only a house. Sometimes it's a house hotel combination. Sometimes it's just a hotel. And it's 2 nights housing, 5 meals. So check-in is Friday afternoon at 3 or 4 o'clock. We usually have some snacks waiting for you when you check in. And we will do a little introductory session and then break for dinner. And then after dinner, we'll break into small groups to kind of get to know each other. And then Saturday, we have 2 pretty heavy duty content sessions with our speaker. And then there's usually the whole afternoon is just open. So that's your opportunity to go offsite if you want to, go get your nails done or have a spa treatment or just go for a walk or a hike or take a long nap. I mean, there are no requirements. You get to do what you want to do. We try to have a good balance of downtime and structured time. And then Saturday night dinner is provided, but if you want to go off site and do something different, you're welcome to do that. And Saturday morning breakfast, and then a closing session to kind of wrap up the weekend. And what are you going to take back with you? Because we know that you have to go back into craziness and chaos and intense caregiving. So what are you taking back with you to apply to your everyday life?
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So it really is for $250. It's respite and content that's valuable and goal oriented and intentional in providing some support for moms who are caregivers. So it's a little bit of a combination of, some rest and care and self-care and, learning some new stuff. So I want people to know that because I think that that's so valuable. It's not just, going doing, shoot paintball retreat like corporations do. It really is a caregiving focused.
It really is.
Retreat. It's amazing. And you did nine this year. 9 are on the schedule.
Yes, we have 3 more. We have Colorado in September, Lake Tahoe in October, and Nashville in November. Colorado has sold out, but we've got 2 more retreats coming.
And I was going to ask you, how many people participate in a retreat, just so folks get an idea? How many attendees?
We've had everywhere from 12 to 35, but we feel like the best number is about 15, 16, and that's kind of what we keep it at.
Just so people know that it's not this massive retreat with hundreds or thousands of people. It's really very small and focused, and people are going to get that care and the support that they need. So 12 to 15, maybe 20 on the outside. So people can sign up for retreats on the site as well.
Yeah. So if you join We Are Brave Together, you will get our detailed emails so that you know exactly when registration opens. It'll say sold out on the website until registration opens at 9 a.m. Pacific time on whatever day. And then it's first come, first serve. And they usually sell out that morning, and then a wait list begins. Prior to registration, is the retreat scholarship application process, and you can get a application from our website or from our emails and fill that out and turn that in by the deadline. And then a lottery takes place, and then moms will be notified before registration so that they know if they got in or did not, and we'll need to plan to register if they can.
So I'm going to throw this out there to our audience. If somebody wants to sponsor an entire retreat, that's a possibility as well, right? So if the company wants to pay and have basically everybody attend for free, and again, you may still keep it to 12 to 15 people, they can do that as well, right?
They could. I mean, it would be amazing for a company, a foundation to say, we would love to support or sponsor an entire retreat. That would be incredible. And, our retreat costs vary depending on where we are, where we're staying, whether it's out of state and you've got, team members having to fly, what have you. So there's a spectrum on what our retreats cost us as an organization. But if anybody wanted to come in, that would be amazing. Or if you wanted to say, you know what, I want to be a food sponsor, or I want to cover the scholarships for this retreat, or I would like to cover the speaker's fee for this retreat, or I would love to cover housing. I mean, we can break it down or I would love to cover the Brave bag, which is a goodie bag with some self-care and resources in it for each mom who arrives at the retreat. So there's lots of ways to sponsor a retreat.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so while this entire episode sounds like a shameless plug, it is because you can see the value. And Jessica, I think that you're a perfect example. Like you immediately sought out a community to support your personal situation when Ryan was diagnosed with Prader-Williams syndrome. And so Prader-Willis syndrome, sorry. And I know the first thing that we did once Jordan was diagnosed with microcephaly and apraxia, we had no idea what those words even meant.
Right.
We went online to seek out a support group. And while there's great access to resources like the regional centers and whatnot, and when you're overwhelmed with the initial diagnosis, you don't know where to go, where to turn, and who to go to. So having the value of community support is the number one thing. And so the fact that you do the work that you do, and more than just provide a resource page that anybody can go online and find, you really are active in providing support. And it's such an amazing organization. We put it on the screen again. It's wearebravetogether.org. I love the work that you're doing, and I've loved it so much. And Sean and I both love it. So Sean and I get to divide and conquer the work that we do outside of the Just Two Dads podcast. And so Sean sits on the board of organizations. I sit on the board of organizations, and that way we can have a large impact on the community. And so we both love you, first of all, and the work that you do, and the We Are Brave Together initiative. And so, I'm proud to be on the board. Glad that we have this opportunity to talk about this event that's coming up September 23rd, and also offer a platform for us to talk about sponsorships and fundraising, because none of this happens for free. Volunteer work is great, but everybody knows that when you're a caregiving mom and you're volunteering your support, at some point that can lead to burnout as well. So offering opportunity to some respite for all caregivers, and we know that it takes some money to pull a lot of this off. And so kudos to you for what you've done in 6 years, really on your own. 2,300 people internationally in every state. I mean, that's such an amazing feat. And I'm hopeful that we get to take this now to the next level, where we go into the tens of thousands of folks, everywhere across the globe. So,
yes, please.
Awesome.
Yes, please.
That's what I was going to ask you about. So the events are, and it sounded like there's a set price of $250 that a person is paying per the event. Now, in a case where somebody is in the Southern California area, and let's say the retreat is somewhere in Southern California, then there's no airfare involved. In a case where someone is not a member in Southern California, or the retreat is taking place someplace other than Southern California, let's say the event is anywhere where they are not, the 250 doesn't cover like including the airfare and them getting there, obviously.
No, they just need to get there. We'll cover everything once you arrive, but it is on you to drive, fly, take a train
whatever
to
you
get
need to do.
there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And again, I'm sure I don't need to do this for everyone, but I'm sure it might apply for some because everybody's situation is different. But try to make sure that you discern the difference between cost and value. Because if you think about, I think about it, $250 for everything to be taken care of for a weekend is, from a dollar standpoint, there's value there because it costs more than that. But then if you think about what you get out of it in terms of being able to return to your environment with your battery charged, you're out of your comfort zone and your environment, your everyday routine, just for a while, and still have the freedom to kind of do what you want with the event, those things are really huge. That's why I appreciate you sharing what the event is like once you're actually there. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that ideally for the event to be maximized, a limitation on people or participants will usually take place. Does that mean then that you'll usually set the limit for 12 to 15, whatever the case might be? What do you do in a case?
We usually set it. Yeah, we usually set a limit. So by the time registration rolls around, we have a speaker, a retreat coordinator, possibly a helper, 3 scholarship spots. And so we usually will sell 9 or 10 spots at every retreat, unless it's a little bit of a bigger retreat. Then like our San Diego retreat, I think we might do 18 or 20. But otherwise, yeah, we're selling 9 or 10 spots per retreat on average.
Good. And I think that we could spend a whole bunch of other time talking about, on another occasion about the logistics of putting something like that together. Because if you have, a philanthropy or anything that's purpose driven, takes just as much, if not more, intention than any other venture that one might dare to do. Because our time is precious, and I think again it's just so admirable the manner in which you've put it all together, and you're making sure that the value is added and time is well spent because you're trying to recharge your own battery as well.
Right. I mean, I get a lot out of it. The retreats that I attend and assist with, it's meaningful for me as well. Absolutely. Just to have that time away and that time together with other women who get it, and we can share and we can be vulnerable and we can laugh and we can cry, and there's no judgment, and there's just tons of love and support and learning, and it's a really rich time. And time again, what we hear is the retreats are life-changing.
I was just
So
going to say,
we know, and I want to say, for them, I want to say, like, I know that I can't change your circumstances. I cannot change your child's diagnosis. I cannot make the dial go a little bit down on intensity. But our retreats, our content, our community, our connections can change you and make you different going back into your life that is very, very demanding. You will be armed with resources and care and support and strength and empowerment going back into your life.
Definitely.
Life-changing for the participants and life-affirming for you and those people
who
put these things on. And that's why,
for sure.
So powerful.
I recorded something earlier this morning that I've yet to even post yet on social media because it's like, as it hit me, I said, let me record this right now, which is that I thought I had heard all the ways. I thought there were no new ways in which I could discover that we underestimate how important it is to love ourselves. I just figured that's just such a basic thing. Everybody knows that takes place. But the truth of the matter is, I heard something earlier that reminded me of the many ways in which it really is underappreciated and it's taken for granted because it's also very insidious. Nobody consciously walks around going, oh, I hate myself. I guess some people do, but it's not limited to that. And so what your organization actually really does is just reaffirm and remind people to find ways and give them tools and an opportunity to, in fact, love themselves. Because the truth of the matter is, the manner in which, or the extent to which we're able to love anybody else, even a child that we have brought into this world, is greatly tied to our ability to love ourselves. And we're not aware of where the deficiency is. You can't even stop the pain. So, that's probably a little more analytical than we intended to go, but it's just happens in line with everything.
I agree.
Excellent point.
Try to encourage our children to be self-advocates where they can. And so we need to be self-advocates as well. We need to be able to promote our own mental health and our own, our own issues that, and deal with those outcomes so that we've got the fuel where our souls are filled to give to our family members.
Absolutely.
Jessica, it's really amazing.
Oh, thank you. No, I was just going to say, and without any guilt, because it's important that we invest in our own mental health. It is not selfish. You're not leaving your children in dangerous situations so that you can, engage in a walk or a run or yoga or meditation or prayer, or whatever it is, a class that lights you up. You're not leaving your kids in danger. There's no need for any guilt. No one said that you can never leave your child to do anything nice for yourself. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that mom guilt comes from. And I don't know if dads experience it the way moms do in taking care of themselves. But I just hear so often. And so I'm here as your professional permission giver that you have to take care of yourself, and you're not doing anything wrong by investing in your own mental health.
It's beautiful. And I will say, dad's guilt is different. It's there. It's different for a whole bunch of reasons, society driven and whatnot, that dads feel that they've got to be the strong, the, whatever, the provider, whatever that cultural perspective is. And I'm going to do what Sean tends to do. Also, we are also supporting dads with a support group called The Den. And Sean's going to put it into our comment section, the link to join The Den. It's up on the page here as well to join The Den, which is a support group for dads to have that freedom, dealing with other dads as well, to be able to speak your mind and the vulnerabilities and all those things, freedom to deal with those issues and, acknowledge them, acknowledge the guilt, acknowledge the anger, acknowledge the helplessness, and all of those things that we deal with as parents. But, for men who feel like they've got to maintain this false bravado, they sometimes need an outlet to just let everybody know, as you do, we are brave together and you are not alone. We are in this together. And, it kind of leads us to the end of it. We're at the end of this episode, which has been so amazing. I love you so much and the work that you are doing and the fact that you've got such an amazing family, and Chris is incredible as a supportive dad as well, and so a supportive spouse. And so I don't know, Sean, we may not have time. Do you want to ask Jessica the question? It's good to have it anyways, because we like to have these on. Yeah,
especially because of evolution, and I think that's what's interesting about having repeat guests on the show, because a person's answer will change. And this is the portion of the show, Jessica, where we'll ask, our ability to change the world is tied to our ability or willingness to change ourselves. So with that said, give us just one example of a thought or belief that you once believed strongly, but no longer believe to be true.
That I should be able to control Ryan's anxiety. And I had to get to the place to really realize that I have zero control over Prader-Willi syndrome and his anxiety and his behaviors. Not that I don't get training or learn and grow how to handle, but it's not anything I would ever get to the place where I could control or not be triggered or activated by his behaviors or his anxiety.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Great. As we wrap this episode, Jessica, again, thank you for being back with us. We hope this is, again, a series. We're going to have you. And by the way, Laura DeMello, who I just want to say your executive director, is a phenomenal.
Our president, our board president.
Board president. Yeah, okay, agreed. Thank you. When we say phenomenal, though, I think if you look it up in the dictionary, phenomenal like phenom, it would be a picture of Laura. So just want to acknowledge her and the work that she does to support the effort there as well. It's really brilliant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't do what I do without my team. This is not a solo show. This is not the Jessica show. I could not do what I do without everybody.
Yeah,
and Laura has been an amazing, amazing team member.
Yeah, love her. So as we wrap up, again, the last thing I'm just going to say for this episode is, again, remember always empathy and love. If you see somebody's situation, you do not know what they're going through, so have some empathy. Don't be judgmental. Ask questions. Be empathetic. We need empathy and love today more than ever. Yes. And then if you see the world through lenses of love, the world's a better place. So with that, I'm going to throw it to Sean to wrap us up. And thank you again, Jessica, for being here today.
Thank you so much.
As always, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to tune in. Jessica, thank you for creating We Are Brave Together and for the time today. I also want to thank Billy Footwear, who is an amazing company, partnered with us. They created adaptive footwear for those with disabilities. They're an amazing organization. If you click on the link, which is on your screen, you'll get 10% off of your purchase with them. I also want to thank our producer, Sean Hall in Hawaii, who does such a fantastic job with our graphics and everything. And as always, remember, questions are more powerful than statements. Everybody needs to be seen, needs to be heard, needs to be loved. There may be special needs, but we really all have the same needs. We just need certain mechanisms in order to attain those things. And wherever you are within the sound of my voice, thank you so much. And remember, we love you.
We love you. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much.